Well, Jeff Lebby's message was clear. It's about urgency, accountability, and getting better fast. Mississippi State has one mission this week: reset, respond, and get ready to go 1-0 in College Station. It starts with the best Monday they've had all year. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. My name is Jaren Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We've got to get into Jeff Lebby's press conference today. He had a lot to say, including about Kamario Taylor. And then we've got a recruiting update because there was some bad news that happened over the weekend. We'll get into that as well. All right, Landon, so what was kind of your thoughts on Lebby's press conference?
It was a Levy press conference. You know, it had a lot of his coach speak that he likes to throw out there. But his statement about how it doesn't matter what happens on Saturday, right side or wrong side, you have to get better on Monday. We have to have the best Monday we've ever had. I like that mentality. And I know that's what every coach preaches, that whole one game at a time, one day at a time, one rep at a time kind of stuff. But I've never heard it worded exactly like that. And I really liked that, you know, how he went on to elaborate a little bit more. I liked how he's like the mentality of this coaching staff and what they're instilling in this football team.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a good one. And it also goes to a part of the press conference that I was going to bring up. Just you can tell that these guys are not satisfied with the start that they have. And while we as fans are ecstatic about it, I mean, we would have obviously loved to have that upset to go 5-0. But we're ecstatic. You go 4-1 and your one loss is an overtime loss to a really good Tennessee team. Like, we're ecstatic over that. But he was asked about being overly critical of himself and was like, are you able to give yourself any credit for what you've done? And he said, no, I'm not able to give myself any credit. He said, he didn't say this, but he said, butts beat, and it's very frustrating. He said, I got to do better. I got to coach better. I got to get done what we need to get done so that at the end of the game, we're +1, and that's the bottom line. I love that because while it is a moral victory for us as fans, even in the defeat to Tennessee, because we played them close and we showed that, like, hey, we can compete with teams, the coaching staff does not feel that way. And that kind of goes back to what you said about the mentality they're instilling and needing to have the best Monday at practice, and then obviously the best Tuesday, and then the best Wednesday, and so on and so forth. I just really like the mentality and culture they're setting.
Yeah, like Jay-Z said, moral victories are for minor league coaches. So, yeah, like he's really doing that. And I also, going on his whole Monday thing, he's like, I like that Monday is, quote, mental Monday.
Yeah.
You clean up the things from the prior game and you get focused on the next opponent. Like, these are the things. Yes, a lot of this is coach speak, which Levy is known for. But what he's kind of almost giving a little tiny peek behind the curtain in how he operates. He's still kind of giving you those same, you know, idioms and phrases that every coach gives you,
right,
but he's telling you how he implements them a little bit more. And that's really interesting. And once you see all of it start coming together, you're starting to understand why this team got a little bit better than we all thought they would, and why so many recruits are still believing the message despite what happened on the field last year.
Yeah, for sure. And it all starts with the culture that he's setting and they're establishing, because when you bring in a whole new staff, it's going to take a couple of years to kind of get your culture, get your players, get that buy-in going. He also talked about Texas A&M. He said they're a really, really good football team. He said, I think we understand their roster and talent level, things like that. But offensively, they've been really explosive in the throw game. 2 great receivers. They've got 2 really, really good running backs. And they've got a veteran O-line that's played a lot of ball. He says defensively, but they've played a lot of ball as a group. And he's right. He's right by all those standards. And one of the receivers he's talking about is Mario Craver, who obviously was at Mississippi State last season.
Yeah, and he has made some huge plays, especially I think it was the Notre Dame game. He took some dump off pass for like 60 some odd yards or something. Yeah. That offense is very explosive. And like we talk about a lot on here, the offensive line build that really dictates what your offense can do. And they've shown that it is a veteran O-line group. And they're very, very good, but they're not like dominant. Like they're not
Right.
one of those offensive lines that is just you're not getting away with anything, but they are very good. They let those receivers get open. They open up some holes for the running game. It's a tall task to fight that offensive line because of the way that offense operates. They're kind of like a score from afar, but it's more of the individual players are responsible for those huge plays, not necessarily scheme all the time.
And I will say I've been impressed by Marcel Reed throwing the ball this year.
Yes.
Something coming in this season, it was a big question mark for both of us, and he's throwing the ball really well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Casey Concepcion is the other receiver who was one of the highest rated guys in the transfer portal. But look at Craver's numbers this year. I don't know if people have been following along what he did, but
I don't want to look at him.
Yeah, he was great in the Auburn game. He only had 4 catches for 34 yards. But the 3 games before that, 8 for 122 and 2 touchdowns against UTSA, 5 for 114 and a touchdown against Utah State. The game you mentioned against Notre Dame on the road, 7 catches, 207 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he's putting Biletnikoff numbers up.
Yeah, he is. And you never want to play the what if game, but you think about him with Brendan Thompson and Anthony Evans and how much fun that would be. But now, you got to focus on stopping him. And it always comes, you think about it a little bit. Do you understand better how to stop him because he was in your building last year? Mm-hmm. Or does he understand how to attack your defense better because he was in the building?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the big question going forward. Now, defensively for Texas A&M, Levy talked about it a little bit. He said they're a team that creates a bunch of sacks. He said that's going to be a huge point of emphasis again for us this week. We've got to find ways to protect, keep, he said, Blake Shapen upright and give him a chance to pitch and catch. And that's going to be a big issue because they are really good on the defensive line again. But that's what you're going to see every week in the SEC. But I will say this about Texas A&M's defense. And I wrote about this on Athlon Sports, so you actually can go check it out if you are curious to learn more about Texas A&M. But they've kind of been Jekyll and Hyde all season on defense because they really haven't been great. They allowed 24 points to UTSA, 22 points to Utah State, 40 points to Notre Dame, and then they allowed 10 versus Auburn. And so that's why I said they've been kind of Jekyll and Hyde, but my story was kind of about Paul Feinbaum talking about it, and he said, is that more about Auburn and how bad their offense is, which is a fair point because their offense has been really bad other than they can run the football. But the issue is the last 2 weeks, Auburn can't run the football, and then they haven't been good. I saw a crazy stat, kind of going off track a little bit, but they've had 35 carries the last 2 games against Oklahoma and Texas A&M for 0 yards.
Kind of impressive.
That's impressive because it was negative 11 against Oklahoma and then 11 against A&M. So 0 yards.
Balance.
Very much balanced. But yeah, so what defense are we going to see? That's the big question.
And yeah, I watched almost all the Notre Dame game, and I've watched bits and pieces of all their other games up to this point. I'm going to watch a little bit more of them before we actually do our preview of the game. But they tend to make they seem to make like splash plays defensively, but when they're not making the splash play, they're susceptible to the splash play. Mm-hmm. So you kind of just have to withstand their athleticism, their great talent, and make your play off of it more than just grind out a win over them. Because if you give them enough chances, they're going to make a big play on you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I just, this isn't like Texas A&M under Jimbo. If they did anything well, they were actually decent on defense. Usually it was usually the offense that wasn't any good, but I don't really feel like that's the same this year.
I don't either.
Now with that being said, they were like 62nd in total defense last year, and now they're like 35th or something. They're better than they were last year, but they're not this elite defense. Jimbo had some really, really good defensive teams and some really good defensive players. So we'll see what kind of defense comes out. But all right, coming up next, we got to talk about Kamario Taylor because Jeff Lebby talked about it, made some interesting comments about how much action he will see. We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else. That's as of August of 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. And most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I know as someone that is very busy all the time, you kind of forget some of the different things that you have as different payments going out. Whether that's a delivery service, whether that's a television, like streaming service, like you kind of forget about all this stuff that you have. And then also you can sometimes just not really realize how much you're spending, whether that's, again, food delivery is a big one that a lot of people spend on. That was something I realized that I was spending a lot of money on. So this helps you kind of keep everything organized. So you know what you're spending, how much you're spending, and if it's worth spending it. If it's not, you need to start getting rid of some of those subscriptions. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Kamario Taylor obviously has been a hot topic. It's always the best position in college football, I believe, is the backup quarterback position. But he was asked, Jeff Lebby was asked about Kamario Taylor. He said, could Kamario Taylor possibly start seeing some more time or just involvement in the offense? Lebby said, yeah, I think for us as we move forward, Kamario is still going to have the packages that he has as we get into it, but that'll all be dictated on how the game's played and what situations we're in. So it does not sound like he is going to be a quarterback that is going to be redshirting this year.
No, it doesn't. But based off of what we've seen in limited time and what we got from the spring game and what we hear out of practices, it doesn't matter if he redshirts. Like, this guy is that level of talent to where even if you redshirt him because you're trying to keep him here for another year or whatever, he might have the talent to where he goes pro as a redshirt sophomore. So I'm not sure like the red shirt is actually going to do anything. And I mean, we're going to see if that's actually true this Saturday, because this Saturday will be his fifth game that he's on the field for.
Yeah, so he's been in 4 already.
So that would be big there, because that is when they'll actually decide if they're going to burn the red shirt. But and you can really see that he does bring a different element to the game when he's in it as a runner. It's, I mean, it makes them have to defend it more. And I honestly would not be surprised if it almost becomes the default third and short package. Like him.
It kind of feels like it's going that way.
Yeah. Like I almost think they need to do that. Maybe even split back him, Booth, and Fluff back there. You don't know where it's going, and he has the ability to throw too. It's not that he's just a straight runner, but you see him out there, you have to dedicate another person to stopping the run. So it could be a very good package and dangerous package to have in there, especially if these games are going to be close.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard situation to be in, because we both thought maybe they would put a package together for him, and I understand the point of, hey, you can redshirt him, but he might still be gone in 2 years, like or 3 years. You know, who knows? But on the flip side, Oklahoma thought Jackson Arnold was going to be gone in 3 years to go pro, and he was terrible, and he's going to be there. He's going to be at wherever he goes to school probably for 4 or 5 years.
He was going to be gone in less than 3 years now.
Yeah, I mean going pro. Like he's the guy that's, and they didn't redshirt him because of that same kind of thought. Is like, he's going to be so good, he's going to be gone. Who cares? And then now come to find out, he actually is probably not going pro early.
Yeah.
but the same thing. So you risk that. So like, what if Kamario Taylor has a year that he isn't great, and so he's like now he's contemplating coming back, but he can't because he doesn't have the redshirt year anymore. Now hopefully that's not the case, and he's amazing, and he leaves and #1 pick, and all this stuff happens. But
Heisman and a natty.
Yeah, right. But I do think it's weird. Like I love the package, and it does work really well. But it feels like that's a package that a team needs because they don't have any short yardage offense. And I feel like Mississippi State is good at short yardage, especially with Fluff back there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I remember all the way back to, if you go back long, a lot of teams did the Wildcat to kind of make up for that stuff. You started seeing quarterbacks come in with Tim Tebow, and it was short yardage.
Mm-hmm.
But just because Florida wasn't very good at short yardage before Tebow.
Yeah.
And then I know Oklahoma did the Blake Bell, and one of that thing. Yeah, the Belldozer. They did that because, again, they struggled in the red zone and short yardage. This isn't a team that really struggles with that. So it is kind of weird that they do use it and they don't use it a ton, but they do use it often. I mean, he has 10 carries in his 4 games. And outside of the first game when he only had 1 carry, he's had 3 in every game. So they use it a decent amount at least.
Yeah, and like I said, they're good short yardage without him, but you use a coach speak here. Good is the enemy of great.
Yeah.
When you put him out there, you become great at short yardage.
Yeah.
And if you put him out there enough, and like when you need the big play, maybe you do the handoff with him, or he keeps it 3 or 4 times early. That 5th time you need the big play, he pulls it and he hits one of the receivers going down the sideline.
Honestly, when they did the pitch to him in this last game, I thought he was throwing it. I was like, oh, this is actually a really good wrinkle. He ended up just running it, but he still got 4 or 5 yards on the play. So it wasn't like it was stuff. But as soon as they pitched, I was like, they might have something. And either if they're not doing it here, that is something you can now set up later on that you've put on film that, hey, we will pitch it to him and he's going to run. And then as soon as you suck up, we're throwing it over the top. And I will say he was kind of slow to the run, almost like it looked like he was looking to see, okay, is it? Okay, no, we're going.
The pitch with an RPO on it.
That would be talk about a really cool play would be the one. I don't know if you guys watched the USC-Illinois game, but they had the quarterback out wide at wide receiver, so they were in Wildcat. And the running back took the snap, ran with the lead blocker all the way to the outside, then pitched it back to the quarterback who threw the flea flicker touchdown. But it got called back because they had an ineligible receiver downfield.
Of course they do.
Well, and it was because the offensive lineman, it was the center who had just come in for the other injured center. Yeah, and so that's why it happened. But say what you want about Lincoln Riley. It was one of the most beautiful plays you would ever see. That would be a play that would work incredible because if you had like Kamario as the Wildcat running back where he could either run it, he could throw it himself, or he could pitch it back to shape and throw it or something. But there's a lot of options you can run off that one.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of teams get more creative with that. Like, because how many receivers in college were high school quarterbacks? We're seeing more guys who line up wide, motion into the backfield, take a direct snap from the running back position, stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some wrinkles like that coming off of what we've gotten so far, because he's a big play waiting to happen, especially if when he comes in, the defense is expecting a run.
Yeah, for sure. All right, coming up next, Mississippi State got a decommitment. Who was it? We'll talk about it coming up next.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love using FanDuel because I really love this live bets during the games. I like to see how things are going, and it just makes things a little more exciting when you see a guy who's just on fire, can't miss, quarterback, running back, just shredding defense, put a little money on him. And it makes it, just makes it so much more exciting that way. And whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When the neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And, we all have those spots that are near and dear to your heart. They've been there forever. And, it's just a part of the community. And we all know it wouldn't be the same without them. And when the community shows up to, rally around those local businesses instead of the big chains, that money that's spent in those neighborhood spots, it stays in the neighborhood. And Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so let's get into some recruiting news. Micah Nickerson, who is the commitment for Mississippi State, 4-star edge rusher, he flipped to Missouri over the weekend. I believe he was the highest ranked player in Mississippi State's class. He's 6'5", 215 pounds, really good size. Obviously would need to add some weight, but that's a big decommitment.
Yeah, it is. And you hate to lose guys, but I mean, you kind of would rather it happen now than the day before signing day when you still have time to pivot. You could still have conversations with him and possibly bring him back into the class. Right. But yeah, it's a big loss. He was a very talented edge rushing prospect, a lot of upside. Like you mentioned, he needed to add some weight, but yeah, he had a lot of potential. So it sucks to lose him, but I'm glad it happened now versus later if you're going to.
Yeah, it kind of stinks because you just had the progress of what just took place.
Yeah, I know. With, trying to put a positive spin on it here.
Yeah, you just had the the great moment of nearly pulling off a big time upset, and you lost. The fans are feeling good, and then you get hit with that.
Yeah, that really sucks. On the other side, they did pick up a commit for the 2027 class. Brandon Allen Jr. He's a corner, 6'1", 175. That's really good size for a guy who's a corner in the 2027 class. Watched a little bit of his tape. It looks interesting. I liked what I saw. And I also appreciate whoever put his highlight reel together, because it was not just all his interceptions and big hits. There was just flat out clips of him locking up a guy on the opposite side of where the ball went.
No, and it's cool to see some of the 2027 guys already committing to your school, because that means that they're, again, believing what you're putting out there. Not just on the field, but also what you've been saying. But of course, on the field has to matter as well. And so they apparently are seeing enough both ways to start committing. And so that's always cool. Another guy to kind of keep an eye on, we brought this up, I believe last week, how you're starting to see these coaches being fired. And so now these recruits are opened up for more people, because you're going to see more people decommit. You got, Virginia Tech fired their coach, UCLA, Oklahoma State, and Arkansas, obviously, this weekend. One guy to keep an eye on is 4-star. He was a commit of Arkansas. He's a linebacker. JJ Bush is his name. He's again, 4-star, top 200 prospect according to Rivals. He was just at Mississippi State this past Saturday. And he said it was the environment that really stood out to him. He said people are starting to realize that Coleman Hutzler is a winner and that he's a good defensive coordinator. He also added that Jeff Lebby is turning things around with the program and that they are playing Mississippi State football again. He is set to officially visit Mississippi State October 25th weekend. And so that would obviously be a massive get if they're able to pull him. But yeah, I mean, he just came here this past weekend, and possibly again, he's from Alabama, by the way.
Yeah, that would be a big one. And we know they've been targeting some linebackers. We saw TJ White, a couple of those other guys that didn't go their way earlier in the summer.
Yeah.
A lot of linebackers. So that would be a really big one. Obviously 4-star, very talented, and, you're flipping him from an SEC team to yours. Yep. So you're taken away from there.
And I don't think they're totally out of the TJ White
No, I don't either.
sweepstakes, just because if you're showing the progress on the field, I mean, he committed to Tennessee, the team that you just went toe-to-toe with. So that would have been nice to get the win. But all right.
I mean, one more thing. I was reading an article, bunch of anonymous, power.
Yeah, you were texting me about this.
Anonymous things, because these guys in these front offices can't actually talk on record about guys who are in the signing class. They were asked who is the best leader in the quarterback class of 2026, and a guy who is in charge of player personnel development for a Power 4 team said Brody McCorder is the best leader of all of the quarterbacks. So
yep. And that should get you really excited if you're a Mississippi State fan. And we're seeing it because he immediately hit the ground running with recruiting for Mississippi State. So, all right, it's another big moment on Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. I'm Jaren. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday. Sorry we haven't had any of those up just yet this week. We've been having issues with the site we use that creates our social media videos. Hopefully that'll be fixed soon, so we can start getting those back out. But regardless, we don't use that site when it comes to our pregame and postgame videos, so you will still have that regardless on Saturday. But hopefully we can get that fixed so we can start getting some of those clips out this week. But until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.